What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone, and welcome back to a big update on Antonio Silva straightly from his manager, Jorge Mendes. So it's not paper talk, it's actually a real update. And then a crazy rumor involving Rashford, which I wanted to predict yesterday in yesterday's show, but I was like, nah, not gonna do it because it's basically a bit maybe too easy to put out there. Excuse me. However, due to the circumstances behind Rashford's situation with Man United, I wouldn't be surprised if the news that he's been offered to Juve is actually true. Then we're gonna move on to Arthur because he's finally on his way. Almost. There's only a slight difference in opinions between Juve and Real Betis, and then a new name for that backline. And actually, it's not getting better, to be honest. But before we do that, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, stay tuned for tonight because I will have a new show, a new live show with a few more people on. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about Antonio Silva first because he is the main target. Despite everything that has been said in the last, in the last couple of days with Hansko, like I think Hansko is higher on the list. However, in terms of availability in January, I think the Antonio Silva one is more realistic. However, his agents came out. His agent, Jorge Mendes, Cancelo's agent, Ronaldo's agent, and he spoke. He spoke directly to Sky Italia, and what was all paper talk is now confirmed because he said that that Juve won Antonio Silva and that he wants to join Juve. He also added that he's an important player with great qualities, and other clubs are also looking at him, which an agent is always going to say. But he said the decision is on Benfica. He said we have to see, we have to wait, and we said it all depends on Benfica, and now we're just waiting on their call or whatever, go ahead basically. What Juve is trying to do, or what Juve want to do, is not pay up front, do something like the Conceição one where it's a loan, maybe like 5, 6, 7 million up front, and then it becomes an option that becomes an obligation, or the obligation kicks in next season. Like that's what Juve are trying to do basically. Now from this situation, it's clear that right now we are in the driver's seat to get him. That doesn't mean we do get him. It does, like his agent said, it basically depends a bit on Benfica. What does Benfica want to do? Are they willing to accept the terms Juve are trying to are Juve are trying to set with the loan deal and whatever the option, all those things. The story. It all depends on that. But he also said that the timing is important. But the reports are all suggesting that if that deal is getting done, let me get this up better. Apologies, doing it on the fly, not in my usual settings. But if this deal is getting done, then it would all depend, in my opinion, on Benfica saying, you know what, we're open to a loan move, we're open to that loan deal, let's do that deal, and we just keep it moving, basically. So it can go quickly, it can take another 10, 20 days or so, which is not good in terms of we need bodies at the back. I don't know if Antonio Silva is the answer. I have no idea. I've not watched him nearly enough to say yes or no. Like it's I cannot base my opinion on purely the eye test because the eye test hasn't watched. Like there is basically no eye test. However, if he is a priority, if you really believe him in, you need to push him. You need to push it to get it done in the week from the Supercoppa. Because that's not really important to me. The season actually begins massively after that, and you need to have bodies, you need to have options in that regard. So let's see what will happen. But Jorge Mendes, he admitted that it's something real. The clubs are looking at it. So that's that. Okay, the next story, the biggest one, the thumbnail story, is Marcus Rashford has been offered to Juve, according to Tuttosport. I talked about it yesterday when I was talking about Zirkzee, and it all depends on what are they going to do with Colomani, what is going to happen with Rashford, so on. And Rashford is not playing. He's done. Like he said that it's up for a new challenge. Ruben Amorim is not, putting him in the squad for the last, I don't know how many games ever since that interview, or before that interview as well. So it's done. His time is up at Man U, and obviously he's getting offered to every single club. So that's the point where I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's been offered to Juve. However, the wages are insane. That's the financial part, and what Man U probably want from him. From my part is, I don't like Rashford. I've never liked Rashford. He's overhyped. I've said it a million times. I don't see what people see in Marcus Rashford. I think he had one goal, one season with 20 plus goals, and other than that, it's like 10 goals a season or something. Like, he's not prolific at all, despite people actually wanting to say that he's prolific. He hasn't showed that consistency. In the last couple of seasons, definitely not. Obviously a Manu, but he's overhyped. He's a player I definitely do not like. He's a player with I point out with Conceição is like he never puts his head up. Well, he is the poster boy of not putting your head up enough. He's not it. He's a player. I don't know, how old is he? Like, people act like he's young. Is he 28, 29? I have no idea how old he is. He feels like he's 28 and 29. That's a player you definitely do not want at the club. It's a player you need to stay away from for many reasons, as well. It brings too much things we do not need. Now, I don't believe we're going to sign Marcus Rashford. I don't believe we're actually going to even entertain, is he actually being offered, which I do believe that he has been offered to, not us, but I don't know how many clubs in Europe, 20, 30, I don't know. That, no issue with to believe that. However, the story says that Motta wants Zirkzee. That's it. So even if Giuntoli comes up to Motta and is like, actually, we can get the deal done to bring Rashford, Motta will probably say, no, I want Zirkzee. And, Man U fans watching this video will probably laugh, at the thought of him wanting Zirkzee, but it did work. He had his best season under Motta, and he was fantastic in Serie A, and we play in Serie A. That's it. We do play in Serie A. That's the only thing that matters. And he brings a different dynamic to this team. Rather it's not playing Vlahovic or whatever, he brings a different dynamic to this team. So Zirkzee remains the main target up front. If we're gonna do something up front with a straight out deal, or even if it's a loan or an obligation, it must be Zirkzee for Juve. Otherwise, they're not going to commit to any other player. Right now, I don't see that happening. So the Rashford thing, has he been offered to us? I truly believe that. Is that an option? Absolutely not, nor should it be an option for us one bit. Now let's move on really quickly to Arthur, and then I want to talk about the last name of a new defender out there. Arthur, he's getting closer to Real Betis, and according to Mirko Natale, it's a deal that could be done basically today. Di Marzio is basically saying the same thing. However, he has 2.5 million remaining on the season basically, and Juve are not willing to pay that. They're basically telling Real Betis from January until the end of May, I don't know when the season officially quote unquote ends, June, I don't know when a loan deal ends, you need to pay that money, not us. That's basically the sticking point. He wants to join Betis. Betis want him. It is an agreement, so on, so on. However, Juve is saying, if you want him, you're going to pay the 2.5 million from now until the end of the season. Don't, chat to us. You pay that. And that's kind of the difference. However, all reports are saying that it's something they will overcome. Even if Juve will budget into that and say, you know what, we'll pay half of that or 75% of that, and you can go out on loan. Because for the club, it doesn't really matter. If he wasn't going to Betis, we were going to pay him anyway. So I think Giuntoli is just saying, you're going to sit out again. So kind of make it work. Tell Betis, if they really want you, they're going to need to pay up. Otherwise, we're not doing this, basically. So let's see. But everybody is confident that Arthur is gone from now until the end of the season. Hopefully, he's just completely gone off the books at the end of the start of next season, which should be realistic. But with his wages and his agent that is actually deluded, saying that he can play at a top club, it won't be easy. But the last part I wanted to talk about was a new name, and that's Axel Disasi from Chelsea, because he's not playing as much as he won. He could potentially be on the move if Maresca gets another option at the back. You would say another option, another player for Chelsea. Well, that's Chelsea. However, he's been linked to us, and actually not the first time. He's been linked to us before he actually also went to Chelsea. He's a player, again, I do not like. Because we have been linked with players who are just mistake prone. A lot of them are mistake prone or at the back end of their career. You know, I don't Antonio Silva, I don't know much, so I cannot say he's good enough or not good enough. I will stay away from him. Hansko, I think he's very good on the ball and he's very strong, but I've seen certain things that I'm not really convinced. However, I can live with that. I cannot live with a player like Diassi, and maybe Disassi, excuse me, because I've watched him more and I've seen the mistakes he makes on a regular basis. And with mistakes, I don't talking about blooper highlights, just positioning, you know, stupid fouls, like things that I'm like, no, you know, that's definitely not what we need. I think we already have that in the squad, and we're trying to weed that out, or we should be trying to weed that out. So that's another player. I'm like, no. The good news is Skriniar is off the board. I don't know where he's going, but the reports were saying it's done. Juve were never in for him because he doesn't fit the profile, so on, so on. Hansko is the guy that fits the profile of the club. However, Feyenoord is saying no, not in January. So it's something we can potentially do in the new transfer window ahead of the World Cup. That's the latest news that we're trying to do. Hansko, if Feyenoord is like, no, not this January, then we will do that in the new transfer window before the Club World Cup. So let's see how that will go. But it's very clear in which direction we're trying to go. But to top it off is the Huijsen news, who's playing fantastically at Bournemouth, and now he's being linked with Real Madrid. And maybe it's an easy tap-in link, you know, with Real Madrid, but he is playing extremely well at, you know, Bournemouth, which at the start of the season, remember when Huijsen joined, um, Bournemouth, and I came on, I said, you know what, they have a fantastic coach, Bournemouth, and a very good squad. They will finish extremely high. And I remember Julian on Twitter saying, you're crazy. They're extremely high in the table because they have a good coach and they have a good squad, and Huijsen is showing his quality defensively. Like, he's getting stronger, which was only a given, you know, because he just came to the first team. Technically, well, there was no doubt about his technical ability, and it's just extremely sad, you know. We moved on Huijsen because we needed the fund. We needed quick money. We needed cash. And I know when people say, oh, we spend more than the 18 we got for Huijsen. Again, plus Valenza and spending money over the length of a contract. I don't want to get into that stuff. It's different on the books, and our books looked horrible. I get it. But that's a player where I'm like, we shouldn't have really lost him. You know, when I watch this back line and I look at Cabal, who I'm okay, but the talent is not, like, the potential is not as high as in Huijsen. When I look at Gatti, the potential is not as high as Huijsen. You know, when you have a Danilo in the squad, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, 18 mil, financially, the situation was what it was, but we should have done much, much more to keep these players. I thought we move on Huijsen and we get a Calafiori or even a Todibo, you know, playing out from the back, but especially Calafiori, and we didn't end up with any of them. When I read the news that we're being linked with Tomori, it pisses me off that we are going to spend 25 million for players at 28 of age who have shown extreme inconsistency throughout their career, and you have a young player, you let go of Huijsen, where even if it didn't work out, you can still move him on. You didn't pay anything for him. That is extremely frustrating, and it's sad, you know. And now it's up to Giuntoli to hit. You know, he needs a hit on the next target, and the next targets need to show off. They need to improve the team immediately from now until the length of his contract. Even if it's a Tomori, if you buy Tomori, he better shows up. He better becomes incredible. If not, you extremely fail in your job in that regard. But let's see how that will go. But you know, happy for Huijsen that he's doing well. His agent is not talking, his family is not talking, which is good because I thought that was a problem when the Frosinone Roma thing happened. But other than that, you know, let's see what will happen with Antonio Silva. It's getting closer. In a couple of days, the window actually opens next week, and Giuntoli better be prepared to bring in these targets ASAP. You know. But let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys later tonight. Ciao.